Well, it's Friday Night Lights once again, and it is the Knights who take on the Kings, and one of them is a bogey team for each other. We'll find out in this little preview of KKR versus Punjab Kings with Jarrod Kimber. And Jarrod, let me just get him straight on board instead of any other thing. I mean, there's some teams who really don't fancy the bogey teams, and KKR, Punjab, 28 times they've played each other, 19 times Knight Riders have thumped them.
I mean, to be fair, for most of that time, Knight Riders have just been a much better team. I think. I'm not sure. I'm not sure how much that is bogey team, and how. I mean, you can name the Kings whatever you want. They've been a fairly ordinary IPL team throughout history, so I think that has to play a big part in that. Right at the moment, you would say that KKR look the informed team and look the better team. And that, this is the Kings' sort of last hope of squeezing into fourth place. And this is for them especially a double point game. We've talked about those. We've had about 2 or 3 of those already. But that's what this is. If they win this, they get the chance of stopping KKR winning a game. And, they go back up the table and give themselves a good chance. But I can't see it happening.
Because at the end of the day, you said Punjab would probably be the front runners when the league resumed. And it's not perhaps panning out that way. Let me just throw you a number right now, because KL Rahul, every time he gets up below 25, since IPL 2020, Punjab Kings have gone on to lose 7 out of 9 games when he's gone to, pretty much show himself really low scoring form. What do you have to say?
Well, that's bad team management. And that's why, you've got one of the most explosive T20 players in the world, and he's playing like an anchor because he knows his team's not very good. So that means that you haven't invested correctly in middle order players. You haven't looked after the system around him. You haven't found players who can back him up. And, he's having to play a role that he shouldn't be playing as the anchor, which means you're getting less out of him. He could average 30 with a strike rate of 150 without breaking a sweat, I think, in the IPL. He's that good a player. And instead, they're trying to get him to average, 40 with a strike rate of 130, 135. It's a mistake, but I've said from the start, they're a lopsided team. They had Jai Richardson batting at 7. I thought that with KL Rahul coming back and Mumbai looking in the doldrums and Royals not having a full team and KKR being so disastrous before the break, I thought that Punjab had the most chance to be able to go through to the finals. It hasn't played out that way. Their overarching weaknesses have not gone away. And I felt that way at the start of the season. I felt that way through the first half. And unfortunately, it's come back to bite them again. They are not a strong cricket team from 1 to 11. And there's so many weaknesses there. And as you said, if KL Rahul has to basically be the difference between them winning and losing, he's one of the most consistent T20 players I've ever seen. But you can't do it all on your own.
You can't. And ultimately, cricket is a team game, so they all need to chip in. There've been, of course, some bright sparks in Nathan Ellis and Arshdeep Singh, but let's see how they crack on in this one. KKR is, of course, their opponents. And a particular stat, which really was an eyebrow-raising one, was their spin and how it's kind of dominated since the resumption. 4 matches in, 10 wickets. That's most for any team. And they've conceded less than run a ball. Is this their biggest strength?
Probably the long batting order is their biggest strength. The difference is now with their spin bowling is before they were using all their spin bowlers in the power play. I think it was up until the resumption, over 50% of their overs were bowled by spinners. I think it's down to about 47%, maybe 46% over the last couple of games. And their spinners are very good in the power play, but they're not particularly, huge wicket takers in the power play. Where Narayan and Chakravarti specifically are going to be at their best is going to be in those middle overs. But if they're having to bowl in the middle overs and at the top, which is what was happening at the start of the year, it means you're losing a big strength. Now they're bowling together in tandem and they're squeezing teams in the middle where they can have a little bit of backup from a fast bowler coming in and bowling 1 or 2 attacking at the other end. It's a perfect scenario for them at the moment. But it's not that they didn't know that before. It's that they couldn't work out how to get the seam bowlers that they wanted at the front. If you have a look at the last game, they had Tim Southey at the front. They tried Prashith Krishna at the front. I don't understand why they won't bowl Lockie Ferguson more up front, because I think he's a fantastic power play bowler, but they've obviously got their theory there. They had Warrior as well. So they're now feeding seamers up into the front, which is something that, Pat Cummins was not particularly suited towards. So losing Pat Cummins has probably been the best thing that's ever happened to them. It's almost changed their entire team from top to bottom. And in this particular case, it's allowed their spinners to do what they do best, which is Chakravarti should be available for 1 over in the power play. Maybe Sunil Narine for 1 over in the power play as well. But you really want them to bowl 6 of the 8 in the middle, because that will give them a huge boost going into the death, because they're not a particularly good death bowling team either. So if you can take a bunch of wickets like they have been, it's massive for them.
Yeah, it's a blessing in disguise, and spot on again with the analysis. We'll get to see if your predictions are spot on as well. But before that, a couple of one-word question answers, so to speak. If Russell is still not playing for KKR, would you still persist with Saudi? Yes or no?
Ooh, that's a very interesting one. Yes. Yeah, I think so. I suppose, what are the other options? It's cutting or... Actually, yeah. I like Southie because it means that they're forced to think about the new ball, and I think that helps them, as I've just discussed. I think cutting probably makes more sense when you look at the entire squad. Seifert is obviously the other option there as well. I'm not sure they need him at the moment. I mean, if he was going to come in, you almost think he would come in for Morgan, which would be awkward. But, is something that could happen. But I've got no problem with Southie playing, and I'd have no problem if cutting or Shakib came in as that other overseas player.
Okay, and another one from a Punjab perspective. Can they bury the ghosts of KKR and perhaps secure those 2 points? Yes or no?
Let's just go back to the fact that you said one-word answer and I spoke for a minute and a half on the last one. I'm not too worried about the bogey team thing, as I said. I'd be more worried about that if, like, Kolkata had a poor record against the Kings. Because I'd be like, how does a really good team consistently, for a long time, who's won 2 championships, have a poor record against a team that hasn't been good? So I'm less worried about the bogey team thing. I just think Kolkata is playing much better cricket at the moment. So it would be a huge effort for the Kings to get over them. Really would be.
Yeah, I mean, good points, those. I mean, 3.5 sentences worth, instead of 1 word, but it's fine nonetheless. Predictions then, because Mayank Agarwal always is a robot favorite, so to speak. He stands a chance to score the most runs in this one. Mm-hmm. Would you go past him?
I'm going past him. I'm going for Shubman Gill again. I reckon this is my 2nd or 3rd go. He's going to make runs. He looks like he's in great form, and he keeps getting out. And I don't believe that that he's not seeing the ball well. And these things happen in T20 cricket sometimes, especially when you're trying to push the pace a little bit. But I'm big. I just think he's ready. The more I look at him, the more I think he's about to make runs. This is the game. He will at very least probably make more than Mayank Agarwal. That's my thought process.
And I'll give you a stat to back it up for Jarrod fans and guys who are backing Gill in this one, because in his last 4 innings against Punjab, Shubman has crossed the half century on 3 occasions and would look to get his first such score in IPL against his favorite opposition. Right. So, Jarrod, well done with that. I think I would back you in that choice more than Mayank Agarwal, because he was left out last game, so who knows whether he starts or not. Bowlers, and there are quite a few good shouts here. Ravi Bishnoi is who we went for last time out. You nearly came up trumps with that one. But Critletics has gone for... Now, actually, I'll tell you what Critletics has gone for, but you tell me yours first.
Now, I don't know, because I wanted to see. I reckon Critletics will have gone for Chakravarti. So I'm going to go for Bishnoi again. If Critletics had gone for Bishnoi, I would have gone for Chakravarti. I think
sometimes I think I feel it's too much information given to you, and sometimes it's good to stump you.
I think in this particular case, I think they're the 2 obvious ones. I don't think there's a bad choice amongst either of them. As you said, the Kolkata bowlers are taking a lot of wickets. I think I picked Sunil Narine once or twice. He hasn't quite come through for me, but he actually has been taking a lot more wickets, which is huge for Kolkata. Before, he was going for no runs, but couldn't take any wickets. They really need him to take a couple. But yes, I'll go for Bishnoi. At the moment, he just seems to be bowling fantastically well. I can't see any reason why. They're the 2 most obvious bowlers in this. I'm very interested to see consistently how Nathan Ellis keeps going. I know the Cricket Australia camp have been very happy with how he's bowled in the IPL so far. Chatting to some of them, I think they weren't sure how he'd go in the IPL, and having watched them, they maybe we're really onto something with this guy. But I really think the two spinners are the ones at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, keep in mind, guys, that this is Dubai, so it's perhaps the best of the three surfaces out there. So maybe it could be a 160, 170 sort of game with the spinners coming in for sure. Right, before we ask Jarrod his final prediction, which is the winner, and I'm guessing you guys have guessed who he's going for, I want you to let me know in the comments below about this, which is a goodie bag question for you guys back home. And we're asking today, who's going to hit the most sixes in this match? I mean, there's firepower. I mean, Russell, if he plays, KL Rahul does smoke it from time to time. Chris Gale, of course, there are quite a few shouts. Let us know in the comments below. Jarrod, quickly on that. Most sixes in this one?
Let's go for a fun one. Let's go for Owen Morgan.
Owen Morgan, that's an
I don't think I was about to say he hasn't made 6 runs since resumption, but he's actually made 15. I don't know how I know that, but I do.
I honestly think Morgan versus Bishnoi is going to be a great matchup.
Very interesting.
In how things unfold over there, because Morgan's not had good form so far, and Bishnoi certainly must be licking his lips. Right. Winner for you should be KKR, I'm guessing. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, you can just play the party spoiler and go for Punjab.
No, I mean, based on the form since the resumption, the strength of the two teams, I think it would be impossible not to go for KKR in this game. You might get good odds on on Punjab, but I just can't see how you'd be backing them or suggesting that they should win. I don't know what Cricklytics says in terms of percentage, but Kolkata, as we currently see, must be about a 61% chance.
They are close, 57%, and that's perhaps because Punjab have got a win in this year's competition after the resumption, so maybe that's what's not as lopsided.
Wait a minute. That win was against the Sunrisers, right? I mean, come on now.
Yeah, at the end of the day, it has to be said.
Just hold on here a little bit. They've got a win, and who have they lost to? Everyone? I mean,
lost to Mumbai.
They lost to Mumbai, and they've lost another one, haven't they?
Yeah, they lost their first game.
Yeah, come on. Who was the first game against?
I think they played. Who was it? Rajasthan Royals. Oh yeah, Rajasthan Royals. The miraculous loss.
Come on. I mean, they have been terrible so far. They beat the Sunrisers.
To be fair, I think they were in the game against Mumbai, in terms of just before Pollard and kind of Pandya took over.
And Mumbai had lost 3 in a row going into that game, had they not? I'm just saying, I think 57%, like that. None of this says that Punjab can't win, because KL Rahul can make 80 off 50 balls, and Bishnoi can take a couple of wickets, and Nathan Ellis and Mohammad Shami can bring it home, right? They are able to win. But come on, I mean,
let's see. I mean,
if we're going on recent form and we're going on looking at these two teams on paper, I think 57% is the nicest thing anyone's going to say about Punjab.
Okay, we'll leave it there. I certainly think Punjab might pull a rabbit out of the hat here, but let's see how it unfolds. Quiz question before we let you go, Jarrod, and it's an interesting one because today I want to know who hit the winning runs when these two teams, KKR and Punjab, featured in the IPL final 7 years ago, the 2014 edition. Whoa. Who hit the winning runs? I can tell you the bowler was Mitchell Johnson of Punjab.
I could tell. Well, I was going to say it's probably not going to be a Punjab player, is it? Who hit the winning runs? So it was 2014. Was it Shakib Al Hassan?
Close. I mean, you've got literally two parts, right? He's left-hander. He's a spinner, but he's not.
Was it Sun on the right?
No, close.
Who's the other left-handed spinner that they had at that point? Geez, I'm trying to think back to their 2014 lineup. They're a good
Indian
team back
pro.
then.
I mean, he pulled Mitchell Johnson away with some disdain. It was a celebration to match it as well. So, he's played for India before.
God.
He's played for Mumbai Indians, played for Chennai Super Kings, played for Punjab.
No, that actually made it more confusing. I think I was thinking of someone else. But you're saying it's someone who bowls spin as well?
Yeah. And he's playing this IPL with another team.
No, I got nothing. It's not Jadeja.
It's not Jadeja because he never played for KKR.
That's what I mean. I'm trying to think of a left hand who bowled spin. who would?
It's
who would?
Piyush Chawla.
Oh, okay. He hit the winning runs.
Yeah, he hit the winning runs, and it was some celebration match. I mean, I was watching the highlights earlier this morning, and I was like, "Wow, this would be a good question for Jarrod."
Where did he come into bat?
I mean, they won it by 3 wickets at the end. So
okay, so he was in towards the end. He can bat a bit, can't he? I've got a memory of him not being the worst. I don't remember him being left-handed though, because he's a right-hand bowler, isn't he? No, I wouldn't have got that. I was thinking finger spinners. I was trying to think of someone. Yeah, that's what I went with Jadeja, because I was trying to think of someone who's left-handed who bowls finger spin. I wasn't thinking of a right-arm wrist spinner. That's really interesting. And that's it. That's the one time the Kings almost did something.
Yeah. I mean, let's see
how it plays out. It's a cursed franchise.
If we kind of get that encore of 2014, I mean, it'll be something on Friday night. But we'll catch you, of course, post-match, and we'll hold you hostage to your predictions. Until then, it's a goodbye from Jarrod, me, and subscribe to the cricket.com channel, like Jarrod says. Thanks, guys. Cheers. Bye.